The first time they laughed at him, it didn't feel like laughter. It felt like a crack in the air, sharp, sudden, and cold. Arjun was only 7. He had just transferred to a new school after his father took a job in another city. With a backpack too big for his back and shoes too tight for his feet, he stood at the classroom door, wide-eyed and hopeful. The teacher introduced him, "Class, this is Arjun. He's new here." He waved shyly. But someone in the back giggled. Another whispered something. Then came the laugh. Arjun didn't understand why. He looked down to check if something was on his clothes. Was his shirt buttoned wrong? Was his hair funny? But he didn't ask. He just sat down and kept his head low. The rest of the day, nobody talked to him. Not even the teacher after that. The laughter stuck with him, echoing long after the final bell rang. That night, Arjun asked his mother, "Why do people laugh when they don't even know you?" She smiled softly, brushing his hair. "Maybe they're scared of something they don't understand." But he didn't feel scary. He felt small. It started with one name. Arjun. A boy in his class scribbled it on a notebook and passed it around. The class roared with laughter. From that day, that was his name. Arjun. Everywhere he went, in the halls, in the lunchroom, in the playground, someone shouted it. He tried to ignore it. He tried to smile. But the name stayed. Even teachers chuckled when they heard it. And with the name came more. Weird kid. Crybaby. Stupid. Pencil legs. Alien. He carried all those names home like invisible bruises. They weren't just words. They were weights. Lunch was the worst. He packed his tiffin box carefully each morning. His mother placed little notes inside, "You are brave, you are kind." But when the bell rang, he walked to the corner of the schoolyard alone. No one invited him to sit. If he tried, they got up and moved. So he sat by a tree, alone. Every day. 4 months. Sometimes, he wouldn't even eat. He just sat and listened. Laughter from every direction. Names echoing. Footsteps walking away. He asked himself often. What did I do wrong? Arjun began questioning everything, his clothes, his voice, the way he walked. He started to speak less. Laugh less. Breathe quieter. He studied his reflection in the mirror. Was his face wrong? Was he too quiet? Too awkward? He remembered a time when he was loud at home, silly and wild with his cousins. Now, he felt like a ghost at school. No one saw him. Except when they laughed. He tried changing his hair. He tried new clothes. Nothing changed. They laughed anyway. At home, he tried to hide everything. When his mother asked, "How was school?" he replied, "Fine." When his father said, "Make some friends, be confident," he nodded. But the tears came at night. Under the blanket. In silence. He wrote in his diary. One line every night. "I don't know why they hate me." Each school day felt like walking into a battlefield. They tripped him in the hallways. They drew cartoons of him on the board. They made fun of how he pronounced words. Once, someone spilled water in his bag. Books ruined. He told the teacher. The teacher shrugged. Kids will be kids. He stopped complaining. He started counting days, how many until the next holiday, how many until this year ends, how many more until he can escape. But he couldn't escape himself. He began to hate mirrors. His reflection mocked him. Look at your ears. Look at your face. Look at you. He hated photos. Hated his voice. Hated his name. He asked his mom once, "Why did you name me Arjun?" She looked surprised. Because it means warrior. He laughed a little inside. Some warrior, he thought. Sleep became hard. Nights were full of thoughts. What if tomorrow is worse? What if they never stop? What if I always stay this way? Sometimes he whispered to the walls, I'm not bad. I didn't do anything. But no one answered. One night, he took his schoolbag and wrote a note. I'm sorry I couldn't be what you wanted me to be. He didn't go far, just down the street to the park. It was freezing. He sat on the swing and waited. For what, he didn't know. A stray dog came by. Sat beside him. They both said nothing. Hours passed. Then his mother's voice echoed from the street. She was crying. Screaming his name. He saw her from the shadows, running barefoot. He stood up. That night, she didn't ask why. She just held him. And he cried. For the first time, out loud. The next day at school, he returned quieter but different. And that's when he met Dev. Dev was new. Skinny, awkward, stammering when he spoke. The bullies spotted him too. But Dev didn't flinch. He sat beside Arjun during lunch. No words. Just shared his roti. The next day, they sat again. And again. Friendship didn't come loud. It came with shared silence. Dev spoke little, but when he did, his words mattered. One day he said, they bully you because you're different. But different doesn't mean wrong. Arjun stared at him. He had never heard that before. Don't let them write your story, Dev added. Write your own. One day, a bully shoved Arjun. Hard. Dev stepped forward. Arjun raised his hand. But paused. Instead, he walked away. That night, Dev said, you fought better by not fighting back. For the first time, Arjun didn't feel weak. He felt strong. Arjun started writing. His pain. His dreams. His thoughts. He called it the world they don't see. Page after page filled with things he never said aloud. It became his armor. One day, Dev showed him how to start a blog. Anonymous. No name. No photo. Just words. He posted one of his writings. Titled, I eat alone, but I still eat. A week later, 27 views. One comment. You wrote my story. Thank you. He cried reading it. Nothing changed at school. They still mocked. Still laughed. But inside, Arjun started to change. He no longer let them inside his mind. He wrote. He posted. He helped others. Mrs. Kapoor. She read one of his blog posts. You have a gift, she said. He looked at her, surprised. You make pain into poetry. That day, she gave him her old laptop. Keep writing. During a school event, students were asked to volunteer for a speech. He raised his hand. Gasps. Laughter. But he walked to the stage. No mic. He stood silent for 10 seconds. Then said, you may not like me. But I don't need your approval to like myself. The room froze. He walked down. No applause. But no laughter either. He turned 15. His blog had 2,000 followers. Messages poured in. I thought I was alone. Your story saved me. You gave me hope. Your story saved me. You gave me hope. Every word they used to break him became a reason someone else stayed alive. Graduation. They handed out awards. Most popular. Best smile. Best dressed. Arjun won none. But when he walked past the stage, a girl from class whispered, I read your blog. You saved my brother. He nodded. That was the only award he needed. Summer came. Dev moved to another city. They promised to write. Arjun sat with his notebook. One last entry before the next chapter. They tried to bury me. They didn't know I was a seed. And the world hadn't seen anything yet. After high school ended, Arjun didn't throw a party. He didn't take selfies in a graduation gown. He went home, opened his notebook, and made a promise to himself. I will build something so powerful they will have no choice but to remember me for who I truly am. He enrolled in college, stayed quiet in class, and worked long hours. Every night, he wrote. Every weekend, he posted. He stopped writing for pity. He started writing for impact. His blog turned into a movement. And yet, no one knew his name. He stayed anonymous. Arjun had changed. He no longer walked with his head down. He no longer flinched when someone laughed near him. He had grown stronger, not just physically, but emotionally. His words had now reached 100,000 readers. He published a short ebook on self-worth, under a pen name. It went viral in the mental health community. Soon, universities started quoting him. And people began asking. Who is the author behind these powerful words? Arjun finally revealed himself, face, voice, story. He launched the Inner Voice Project, a platform for young people facing bullying, trauma, or isolation. He released a video called, I was bullied every day, here's what I did about it. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It was raw, honest, and real. In just 3 weeks, it crossed 1 million views. The internet responded with fire and emotion. People from 42 countries shared their stories under the hashtag #AmArjun. A boy in Brazil wrote, You made me feel seen. Thank you. A teacher in Chicago added his video to the school curriculum. For the first time, Arjun realized. Maybe I was meant to go through all that, just to get here. With attention came criticism. Too emotional. Too dramatic. He's just cashing in on trauma. But Arjun didn't care. He had survived worse. Words could no longer break him. He posted this quote on his blog. Once you've walked through fire, you don't fear the smoke. Arjun started giving talks at schools. He visited juvenile centers. He spoke in slums and small towns. He listened to kids who whispered, they call me names too. He looked them in the eye and said, You are not the names they gave you. He mentored 5 kids who wanted to be writers. All of them published their first stories that year. Years later, Arjun got an invitation from his old school. He almost said no. The pain was still there. But he went. Same hallway. Same classroom. Same corner where he once ate alone. Now he was the guest speaker. He walked to the stage. Looked out at the faces. Some of them were older versions of his bullies. He took a deep breath. They laughed at me because I was different. But today, I stand here because I didn't let that laughter become my truth. The auditorium fell silent. Then, standing ovation. After the speech, a boy walked up to him. One of the worst bullies from school, now taller, older, but quieter. He didn't say much. Just 3 words. I was wrong. Arjun smiled. No hate. Just growth. They shook hands. It was over. He never forgot Dev. They still wrote to each other. Dev was now a teacher. They started an annual scholarship together, named the Quiet Fighter Award. Mrs. Kapoor had retired, but Arjun surprised her one day with a thank you video featuring hundreds of students she had helped unknowingly. She cried. So did he. Arjun wrote one last blog post that year. It was called, Letters I Never Sent. He addressed every bully by name. He described how each one hurt him. But every letter ended with the same line. I forgive you. Because I won't carry you into my future. That post was shared 5 million times. At one of his biggest talks, in front of 10,000 students, Arjun spoke without a script. Halfway through, he broke down. Not because he was scared. But because he saw a boy in the front row silently crying. Later, that boy hugged him and said, "You saved my life." That night, Arjun cried too. Not from pain, but from purpose. His mother watched all his interviews. She sent him screenshots of his quotes. One day, she visited his event. After the crowd left, she hugged him tight and whispered. "You became the warrior I always knew you were." A university created a full scholarship named the Arjun Foundation Grant for students who overcame bullying and trauma. Thousands applied. Only 10 were selected. Each of them wrote their stories. Arjun published their letters in a book called The Bravest Voices. His story aired on national television. A film director reached out. A documentary titled More Than a Name was released on Netflix. But Arjun didn't chase fame. He said, "Fame is accidental. Purpose is chosen." One morning, Arjun looked in the mirror and smiled. Not forced. Not bitter. He saw the boy who used to cry at night. Now standing tall, ready to face the world. He whispered to his reflection. "You made it. And I'm proud of you." Arjun started walking with kids who were like his younger self. He held their hands. Shared their stories. He never stood above them, only beside them. He didn't just heal himself. He healed others by showing them they weren't alone. Arjun was invited to the United Nations Youth Summit. He stood among global changemakers and told his story. They gave him a standing ovation. He simply said, "The world changes when the unheard start speaking. And I was once the quietest boy in school." One night, he received a message from one of the boys who used to hurt him the most. They talked. 4 hours. That bully had grown into a man burdened with regret. He said, "I see you everywhere now. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry. And thank you." Arjun replied. Pain teaches. Forgiveness frees. So what did he do, really? He took every insult, every tear, every bruise, and turned it into a bridge for others. He became the voice he once needed. He rewrote the story others wrote for him. He chose to build, not break. To forgive, not forget. To rise, not run. Today, Arjun is no longer just a survivor. He's a leader, a teacher, and a voice. But he says this to every room he enters. I'm not special. I was just willing to heal loud enough that others could join me. And every time someone asks, "What did you do when they bullied you every day?" he smiles and says, "I wrote. I healed. I built. And then I walked back to help the next one in line." If you've ever been bullied, mocked, broken, or silenced, know this. You are not the names they gave you. You are the story you choose to write.